Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel Held Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing and want to see more. Coming up, some game reviews from the Betfred Women's and the Men's Super League games. Double header in the women's game called off due to a recurring reason, and 4 sides in the men's games have to sit down for the weekend. As we're doing the Super League review, as we do on every single Monday from now on, I must say that 2 of the Sunday's 4 Super Leagues fixtures, Hull FC versus Lee and Hull KR versus Warrington, have been postponed under COVID fixture protocols. A third Hull FC player tested positive, with a fourth symptomatic, awaiting further results of a PCR test. 4 more senior players have been isolating as close contacts, with 7 players unavailable, permitting a postponement for the Hull FC versus Leeds Centurions game. Warrington also have 7 players unavailable, with 4 either confirmed positive or symptomatic, and 3 more isolated. 2 non-playing staff have also tested positive. Both Hull FC and Warrington have additional players from outside their top 25 paid players ruled out through either positive tests or close contacts. The clubs will liaise with the Rugby Football League about a possible rearrangement of the fixtures. This season's Super League table will again be determined by win points percentage to allow for possibility of not all fixtures being fulfilled. Hull KR, who lie 5th, having not played a game since beating Wigan on June the 18th, with COVID issues now forcing the postponement of 3 games in a row. Must admit, 2 of them don't seem like their own fault. So the first game that we're going to look into for our review is Wakefield's home game versus St Helens. St Helens, who were buoyed off their derby win last Sunday, come into the game very strong. For 60 minutes, Wakefield looked determined to produce a shock Super League win against St Helens, before Lachlan Coote produced the goods to send Saints to Wembley with a hard-fought win. Christian Wolf opted to rest scrum half, only rest scrum half Theo Farge and prop Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook from his likely Wembley lineup. And his side were expected to brush aside Trinity with just 17 fit players. The game looked like it was going according to script when the champions raced to a 14-0 lead after 22 minutes, but Wakefield were in no mood to roll over, and they got within 2 points of the visitors, finishing with a flourish. Fullback Lachlan Coote was again the chief contributor, with one of the Saints' 4 tries and 7 goals from 7 attempts, so 100% with a boot. 48 hours after Hull KR announced his capture for 2022, so he's still battling for the cause and could come out with all the honours in the Northern Hemisphere. Importantly for Wolf, his side appeared to emerge injury-free and has a bonus of prop Matty Lees making a seamless return from a broken ankle sustained in his side's cup win over Leeds in April, to boost his chances of playing at Wembley. It looked routine enough for the champions when England centre Matt Percival took Coote's pass to slice through the Wakefield defence for the opening try on 10 minutes. Coote did add the conversion and kicked a penalty to stretch his side's lead to 8-0, which reserve scrum half Lewis Dodds further extended with a jinking solo try on the 22nd minute. Wakefield, down to the bare bones as I mentioned due to injuries and another COVID outbreak, suffered a double blow early on in the game, losing forwards Tiniaru Arnoa and Matiasios with head injuries in the space of 3 minutes, which means an unlikely hooking duties for winger Liam Gay. So he moved inside and played number 9 for the period. However, Trinity were far from daunted, and they hit back with a superbly crafted try from right winger Lee Kershaw on 25th minute, before striking again on the stroke of half time through left wingers Innes Senior, who had a clear sight of the line courtesy of a cut-out pass from skipper Jacob Miller. The Saints defenders claimed Senior failed to ground the ball, but it was given, and Mason Lino's touchline conversion went in off the upright as the visitors' lead was cut to 6 points. Trinity was down to 12 men at a time after James Batchelor was sin-binned for preventing a quick play of the ball, and Saints also lost a man to the bin early in the second half as Percival was shown a yellow for a similar offence. Unlike their opponents, Wakefield were able to use their numerical value advantage as fullback Ryan Hampshire's long pass gave Senior another clean run to the try for his second try of the game. Lino had the chance to level the scores, and his conversion again struck the woodwork, but it was this time that it bounced out, and that was as good as it got for Chris Chester's men, I'm afraid. They were within 2 points, 16 points to 14, as St Helens began to lose their discipline. Their defence came under intense pressure, but they managed to hold out, and after working their way upfield, Coote hit his third penalty kick of the match, making it 18 points to 14. Coote was then on hand to finish off a line break by second rower Sione Metautia, and converted home tried to restore Saints' 10-point lead before winger Tom Makinson wrapped things up by scoring a last-minute try. As much as I feel for Wakefield, they seem to have the fighting spirit that the other teams seem to have to keep out of that bottom three prediction that I gave at the beginning of the season. Lee, Salford, them is who I thought, but my other pick for outside was Hull KR. I wasn't sure that they were going to do as well as what they have been doing, but it gives us all hope when things like that happen. So before we go on to Leeds' game with Catalan Dragons, they were buoyed just before the game, well, the day of the game, about the returning star coming back to the fold, as it was announced in the day that young Leeds winger Harry Newman is back involved with the Leeds side. The centre has finally been given all clear to resume training 10 months after breaking his leg in 2 places. The 21-year-old Newman, who is in the John Wayne's World Cup squad, has been sidelined since last September after sustaining an injury in a match against Hull KR at Warrington. He had hoped to have been cleared in May, but suffered a setback in rehabilitation. On this, he said, "This is the best news I've had in 2 years. It's been 41 weeks to the day. I've worked it out today, and as soon as he told me, I jumped out of my seat and shouted, 'Yes, we've done it.'" It's a timely boost for Leeds, who has been playing some of their players have played 5 games in 15 days before their next game next week. Newman is a young centre with promise that everyone seems to love, as Sean Wayne has picked him in the England squad. And because of that, he went on to say, "I feel ready to go, and I can't wait to get back on on the training field on Monday. I'll sit down with Rich Agar and the rest of the coaching staff and put a plan together. I've got a game in mind which I would like to play." So when something like that happens, I should know I did my tib and fib and never recovered from it. But with professional stars, they get the best medical treatment and they're motivated to play the game that they love. And it is fantastic that he has that work ethic. He's also set a mind in a game to play. Wonder which one it is. Is it St Helens, Warrington, Wigan? Just don't know. But hopefully it's not a quick one. A quick comeback so that he gets another setback. As he said in May, he did have another setback, so it's been 2 to 3 months again with further injuries. So he's getting back on the field, he's taking all the medical advice, he's listening to his coaches. It's excellent for someone so young. But saying that, during his time off, he did have things to do, and he seems to have made the best of it. Speaking on about staying on in rugby league and his time out, he said, "I guess it's made me even hungrier. And throughout the 41 weeks, I've improved my strength. I can bench press 150 kilos, and I've hit a higher speed compared to before." So needless to say, he's kept himself in the best shape. So fantastic effort by the young lad. I hope his commitment keeps going on, that he gets the rewards that he so undoubtedly deserves. 150 kilos. Bloody hell. Anyway, so now we'll go on to Leeds' game against the Catalan Dragons. Catalan Dragons got buoyed off 7 wins from 7 and attempted to make it 8 from 8 to make it a Catalan Dragons Super League record in wins. It was a fractious affair with 2 different blow-ups during the game, but a lot of injuries, I'm afraid, as another one of the Leeds youngsters was forced to sit out this game. I forget his name, but he scored 4 tries in the last game against Lee Centurions. It'll come to me. Oh, Broadbent. That's it. Okay, so in this game, Matt Whitley, Mike McMeekin and Fuad Yaha scored second half tries as Catalan cemented their place at the top of the Super League table with a win against the Rhinos at Emerald Headingley. An entertaining encounter throughout the entire game. Stephen McNamara's table toppers arrived at Headingley in outstanding form and emerged as serious title contenders, but Leeds led 18-8 at half-time. Yet the French visitors were not to be denied, as 3 unanswered second half tries, through the 3 that I mentioned, maintained their position at the summit of the Super League, ending Leeds' own winning streak of 4 games. Both sides began brightly after Leeds centre Conrad Hurrell was stopped in his tracks after a fine break inside the right channel. The Rhinos went astonishingly close to scoring in the 5th minute. Luke Gale, back in the side after serving a 2-match ban, found Richie Myler, and the fullback offloaded to Tom Briscoe. The winger looked destined to dive over in the left corner, but Dragons fullback Sam Tompkins made an outstanding tackle to deny Briscoe just short of the line. Catalans began to grow into the game after Budding Thompson was penalised by referee James Charles for a shove. James Maloney kicked the 2 points to put them ahead. James Maloney was in and out of the, shall we say, referee's firing line throughout the entire game. Couple of times he did get pinged and was a bit fractious throughout. The Dragons then claimed the opening try through Archer Morg in the 10th minute. After some brilliant footwork, took him through 4 defenders and over the line. Archer Morg looks an absolute astonishing player, and the way that Catalan are developing him and the people that's around, that's fantastic as well. Plus he found his kicking boots. In the 15th minute, Leeds hit back when after Joe Tompkins conceding a penalty, the hosts advanced upfield and Gale's kick to the right corner saw Luke Briscoe and Fuad Yaha challenging the air. As it dropped backwards, Reece Martin was on hand to touch down for a try, which he converted to cut Catalan's lead to just 2 points. Leeds grew in confidence and scored their second try in the 23rd minute when Brad Dwyer neat's pass sent the onrushing Budding Thompson crashing over the line from close range even. Both teams had chances to score further tries before the break, and Catalan's prop, San Cassiano, what was that? Was simbing for a high shot on Luke Briscoe as retention rose. The sim binning was a bit harsh, to be honest, on San Cassiano. I won't do that action again because it's a big lad and would hurt me. But the ball, basically, he went in, hit the ball hard, and it bounced up and hit the fella in the face, Luke Briscoe. Hopefully, it wasn't deemed on the fact that Briscoe was down getting his head bandaged up at the time, because that was Tom Briscoe getting his head bandaged up, his brother. Leeds did manage to score a third try in the 39th minute when Liam Sutcliffe dived over from acting halfback, and Martin Gold his third conversion of the game to make it 18-8 at the break. Catalan were outstanding in the second half, and in the 51st minute they breached Leeds' defence as Maloney's clever pass sent second row Whitley over inside the left channel. Morg added the extras to make it 18-14, and in the 57th minute a brilliant break from Maloney saw him goes through the Rhinos defence and usher Mike McMeekin over the line. That made it 18-18, with Morg converting to put his side ahead before Catalans grabbed a fourth try on the 67th minute, my apologies, when Yaha went over in the corner from a Sam Tompkins pass. And that's how it stayed. Every now and again you think Sam Tompkins is not going to be involved in the game, and he just keeps popping up. That's experience for you. Leeds did well, but they did seem leggy after those games. It was a big run on them, and it's what can happen, unfortunately. Before I go on to the rest of these Super League games, two left for this weekend round to the men's side, and then we'll go on to the women's game. There was an announcement just as the two games were supposed to start at the Wakefield Rocket Mobile Stadium. So, from the Women's Super League, the two matches were called off due to what was being said as lack of medical cover. I've just got to say this is the second time that Wakefield have had this issue when playing rugby league at the Mobile Rocket Mobile Stadium, whichever way. It's sad. It keeps happening at Wakefield, so I suggest taking away these double headers away from Wakefield at the time. Speaking of that, the RFL said in the statement about these postponements, two of today's Betfred Women's Super League fixtures have been postponed because of lack of sufficient medical cover. The matches between the Huddersfield Giants and the Castleford Tigers, and also the Warrington Wolves versus York City Knights, were both due to be played at the Mobile Rocket Stadium in Wakefield. They will be arranged for later in the season. So before I go on my tirade, yes, I do understand that it is a voluntary position with the state of women's rugby league at this stage not being fully professional. Yes, I do understand that it is Wakefield. They have all their ducks in a row for the men's Super League, and yes, Women's Rugby League is in its infancy and needs a lot more help, support, sponsorship, and everything like that. But on the minus side, the RFL, first of all, did they know in the week in advance? And if so, why didn't they do something then? Whether to suspend the game for later in the season, postpone it, or got the medical cover in themselves? Did they know at the beginning of the week? 2. Did they keep checking that they had the right things, the right cover for the games? Or if they need other teams to help out, asking their medical staff to help out? 3. Did they check again to make sure that everything's okay? Ringing round, making sure that they've got a positive commitment through everyone involved in the game to play the game that's needed to play the game. That's the RFL side. Now, if it is Wakefield, it'll be as it is Wakefield, it's the second time that this has happened. Lack of medical staff. Need to ask them, when did they know that they were going to have a lack of medical staff? Was it in the week prior, so they could contact the RFL or the opponents of the other 3 teams that were playing that day to get the medical cover in? If not, why didn't they do that? If they knew, why didn't they contact the other teams to help with the medical cover? Because it was 3 teams playing double header at one place. It's not as if they were all going to go, oh. They could have stayed and watched the game, enjoyed the day out, full stop. Made it aware to the opponent players that that's what's going to go on. Fine. Did they find out just before kickoff, or within the hour of the kickoff, because the teams were put out online for who's playing where? There should have been safeguards in place. I'm sorry, Wakefield, but I think it's your side that's the issue on that front. No communication. So they need someone like a player liaison manager or a communications manager to go around checking all the checklists. Is this person here? Have we got that? Do we need this? Can ambulances be called? Whatever's needed to be done. They needs to do a checklist a week beforehand. You know that this game's going to be played there. Played in front of a stadium on very, very good pitches. It's sad, but it needs sorted out. The RFL did make a point to say the other 3 games in the round, St Helens versus Featherstone and Wigan Warriors versus Leeds Rhinos today, plus Bradford Bulls versus Wakefield at Odsal tomorrow night, will not be affected. So, there was actually 4 teams. Wakefield were not involved in the games today. So the 4 teams could have had the medical cover. But they were relying on Wakefield, I reckon, the stadium, not the actual clubs. But now on to the Women's Super League, as St Helens entertained Featherstone Rovers at Victoria Park on Sunday the 11th of July 2021. And Saints came out resounding winners of this game. Saints had a big lead at half-time, 2 tries from Chantal Crowell and Kerry Roberts, alongside others from Jodie Cunningham and Danielle Bush, and Rebecca Rotherham gave 36-0 lead for St Helens in the first half. The scoring continued after half-time as Zoe Harris collected Jodie Cunningham's pass and fought her way to the line. Cunningham added her 2nd try of the game after a mazy run close to the Featherstone line. An Emily Rush try off a great break from Leah Burke scored to make stretch the lead further, and Rachel Woozy scored a try to increase the Saints' lead further. 2 hat-tricks were then completed to make it 68-0 as Kerry Roberts scored her 3rd, being put through a gap in the Featherstone defence, and Jodie Cunningham had her 3rd out with a great 50-metre effort. And that's how it seemed to stay. I know that Emily Rudge got on the scoring after that, but the overall scoring was at 78-0 to St Helens. St Helens keeping up their good run after their TV game, and only 1 defeat this year against York. So, our first game of the Sunday, the 11th of the 7th, 2021, that we're looking at is the DW's hosting Wigan versus Huddersfield Giants. Worrying stat for Wigan. In the opening quarter of the game, they have been outscored by opponents 5 points to 1. Huddersfield are on a losing streak as well, after Wigan are losing 5 on the bounce. Huddersfield are on 4 on the bounce, but have new signings Nathaniel Petru and Nathan Peets in the squad, and Petru started. In the opening 15 minutes, McQueen and Leroy Cudjoe scored for Huddersfield, and Oliver Russell converted both. On the 20-minute mark, Wigan had numerous set restarts and thought they had scored as Liam Marshall was denied a spectacular try in the corner. After great work from Powell and Hastings, Powell's own left hand landed on the sideline just before his right hand was able to ground the ball for the try. On the 34th minute, after a set restart for Huddersfield and great defensive work from Ash Golding, retrieving the ball and making us half break through would-be Wigan defenders, and a follow-on by Ollie Ashall-Bolt, getting Huddersfield further down the field. The ball was given 2 yards out to Joel Greenwood, who thought he crashed over the line but was held up for Huddersfield. The set went back to the 10-metre line for Huddersfield to continue the attack, when Hewitt got the ball a little bit further out and attempted a drop goal to extend the lead, but he missed the attempt. On the 36th minute, Thomas Lulai is close to the Huddersfield 20 for Wigan after some good defensive play. I think one set restart during that passage. And as Huddersfield are watching him, thinking that he was going to pull all the strings, he passes it over to Harry Smith, who chip kicks in just left of the posts into the in-goal area for Liam Marshall to catch and run in under the sticks for the try. Harry Smith converted, but that's where we finished the half. Wigan behind. So the second half started with Wigan in the ascendancy, as for the first 7 minutes, Wigan had all the pressure, and it led to Mitch Clark to score his first try of the season. Passes through the hands, a simple ball by Sharrocks, left Mitch Clark one-on-one with McQueen running on a slight inside-outside angle, and he powered his way past McQueen for the try. Smith had the attempt to tie up the game, but he smashed his left foot conversion against the left post when it was easier just to put it over. There was a few breaks after this. Gildart, a great break on the third, was covered by the Giants in all options. But it's a crazy game, as from the first half, Wigan had more ball in possession and more play the balls throughout the first half, and the pressure was starting to get to Huddersfield as they were being pinged for offside. There was overlaps being created by the Wigan's left side. Cudjoe was great in defence on one such overlap, but he was forced out of touch. The resulting next set left Cudjoe exposed again, as his centre was off the field with a head knock, with Huddersfield temporarily down to 12. Huddersfield did start scouting the right hand side of Wigan's attack, as Pierce-Paul was having a wow of a game with lots of offloads. He was on 9 when it came up to the 60-minute mark, and he made 34 tackles as well. Do have to say there were numerous head knocks for the winger of Huddersfield, Ollie Ashall-Bolt, which forced him off the field and not to return as he failed his HIA. All of a sudden, Wigan became ponderous because of this stop-start game. And Wigan had the ball in Huddersfield's 25 metres away from their line. And the ball was shipped out left again, but no real movement. So Liam Marshall came back inside, injected a bit of his own pace into it, and decided to grubber the ball on towards the Huddersfield sticks, which forced Huddersfield's Ash Golding to kick the ball out for a dropout. Great play, individual play by Liam Marshall. Wigan could not rely on just them sort of things to win this game. The game became further disjointed as another Huddersfield player was down with a head knock. I believe it was Peteru, because he wasn't able to return for the rest of the game either, after failing his HIA. On the 60th minute, it turned out that as a team, Huddersfield had made 64 more tackles in that half than Wigan. That's how much dominance Wigan had, but not too much in the way of play. Thomas Lulai, who'd fell awkwardly previously under a tackle onto his left knee, went down again, but this time for a head knock, which forced him off the field as blood were pouring from the wound. This, though, for some reason, it was an accidental shot, unfortunately, for the Huddersfield team, and nothing was given. And on the next set, they went up the field and Wigan retrieved the ball. And they got the ball on their own 40 on the left-hand side again. And an early ball to Hastings, with Hastings on the move. Found a gap for Liam Farrell to break and find Harry Smith on his right-hand side to score just left of the posts. This time Smith was obliging with the conversion. Huddersfield believed, though, that there were pens should have been given at the play of the ball that led to this try, because Sam Powell appeared to have pushed Chris McQueen as he was trying to get up after the play, after he made his tackle. Huddersfield's sets for the first half ended after that try ended with a bomb that was excellently competed for by Hastings and under huge pressure from Ash Golding's chase from the bomb. But something happened during the game. They all settled down and it started the arm wrestle for the first time in the entire game, and we're going on to 65 minutes, 70 minutes, getting ready for those final minutes when people are putting effort in. Waldo broke to the left-hand side of their attack for Huddersfield, back inside to Golding. Golding was tackled superbly by Bibby on the Wigan's right, which led to a fifth tackle kick by Will Price, which forced Marshall to gather and then step back into his own in-goal area. And it was a great kick because Price did follow this up and tackled Marshall, who just about wriggled out of his in-goal area, stopping a dropout being called for Wigan to give the ball back to Huddersfield. Wigan were playing for offside up in the just in the Huddersfield half, which gave again Huddersfield the chance to attack further up the pitch. Another bomb was put up and it was pouched by Hanley on the right wing, who did well through the entire game, to be honest, in defence, supporting and attack like that. But that was a great ball. He kept himself up in the air to be tackled to get the penalty. Excellent. Well played. We thought Huddersfield had got over for tying up the game at 16-all, but unfortunately Ash Golding's pass went forward and the referee caught it, caught the offside, the forward pass, and gave the possession back to Wigan. Wigan worked all the way up to the halfway line, and Brad O'Neill scooted away from Hart in halfback and produced a great offload in the tackle to get Smith on the run. Going forward, it was a great offload. But Ash Golding, best Huddersfield defender, good fullback, should be in the conversation for England, but he's going to play for Jamaica in the World Cup. Puts a great tackle in, which forced Wigan to concede play close to the Huddersfield line. At this point, Huddersfield decided to throw the ball about. It's the final 2 minutes. They're either going to go down swinging or risk it all for the win. It all came to naught, unfortunately. A kick was made that was passed by Hastings on the 30 with about less than a minute to go. And Wigan slowed down the play the ball for the game to finish and Wigan to get the win. Now for the fun game, that was Castleford versus Salford Red Devils. Salford, who have won 2 games all year, visited the Mendenhall's Jungle on the 11th of July 2021 and had only won 2 games all season. Castleford, playing 5 debutants in the week before the Challenge Cup final, have not been on good form themselves, as last game last game was called off by COVID, and there was a defeat the week before. So it started off, as you would expect, with Castleford scoring on the 7th minute. Salford on the back foot in their own 10-metre line, and in their own 20 to be fair. And Danny Richardson put the last kick, a small grubber on the short side, and it comes back and it's worked to Greg Millington, who scores just right to the post. Danny Richardson adds the 2 for Castleford. Salford on the 14th minute score a try of their own. They get a 6 again call near the Castleford line, and the Tigers hold the Devils out for a couple of phases, but Jack Ormonroyd powered over from short range. Christian Inu was also able to add the 2. Salford were then in again as a bit of pressure on the Cass line on the back of a penalty saw Ollie Roberts crash over to score. Christian Inu did convert this one as well. On the 31st minute, Salford scored again as Morgan Esgray dummies to make space and races over through a gap. Christian Inu again scores with the boot to take Salford further into the lead. Try by Salford on the 35th minute and the last score of the half. It looked like Paulie who tried to go over the line with a double movement. The ref called held. Salford then kicks it to the right corner, and Rhys Williams just manages to get the effort down in the corner. That is where the half ends, as Christian Inu actually misses the next kick. So now we're going to the second half of the game, and it started with 2 minutes into the game, just the start that Castleford wanted. Great play from Cass, moving the ball to the left wing with Davidson rustling with a great pass to Clare, who's playing at fullback at this point, and fires a big pass out to Brad Martin on the wing. The conversion from out wide from Danny Richardson was successful to get the scores back towards some normality at 22 points to 12. Unfortunately, this didn't last long, as on the 49th minute, Salford were back in again, as the ball is worked to Ken Seo on the right hand wing, and he stays just inside the playing area to score in a corner. Inu took his time over this conversion, and he converts out wide. 6 minutes later, A 6 again call for Salford on the Castleford try line is moved to their right, where Morgan Escaray spots a gap to score right in the corner as well. Inu takes as much time as he can to line up the kick by the sideline, and then he converts once more. The tries start coming in for Salford in quick succession, as on the 59th minute, another 6 again was called on the last tackle, but Patton crashes over straight off the back of it. Inu converts by hitting the ball onto the post and it going over. Salford on the move, kick the ball, and Costello kicks it again, so into the in-goal area, where he leaps on it to score. Inu scores the resulting conversion from that as well. Don't get me wrong, Castleford had their own chances as well going into this. At this point, as Salford are on their own line, and Kane Robb forces his way over the line to score, but the ref judges that it wasn't a score. He knocked on. But we didn't have to wait too much longer for a score, as Salford score again. A break through the line from the Salford Red Devils give Atkins the easy gift of a pass to score himself, which Inu converts to further the score on by 2. Then a response, well, sort of, from Castleford. A superbly worked ball by Richardson along the line, with a great low pass to Millington, sets up a play for Alex Foster to score to make it 56 points to 16, which Danny Richardson duly converts to make it 56-18. This makes a sour reading for Castleford, as there were 3 tries further to end the game. Dan Norman scores from short range, to which Christian Inu converts easily, and another short range try by Ben Davis, which Inu has only missed 1 kick all game, and converts this one again. And then right on full time, a Rhys Williams special, a long range effort straight from the kicker, which for him to score underneath the Castleford posts. This is a bad result for Castleford, but lots to be proud of from the youngsters, as they never give up. Lots of effort. Salford, 3rd win of the season. It puts pressure on Leeds Jorians as the bottom team, with no wins so far this season. So the next game that we're going to follow is the Betfred Women's Super League South game between the Bedford Tigers and the Army Rugby League women's teams at Putnell Wood, Bedford. This was kicked off at 2:30 p.m. on the 10th of the 7th, 2021, Saturday the 10th of July. And in the first half, it went to form, to be fair, as the Army put on the first try, with Bethan Dayton scoring in the right channel after some good work by the forwards getting down to the other end. Abigail Etok kicked the conversion to make it 6-0 to begin with. Bedford though did respond, as Kaz Coley, after a repeat set, scored in the left hand corner. Some good work by Bedford got their momentum up to get them further and further up the pitch. The Army though did not take long to respond, as Kaya Glynn got a pass back from the winger after the ball was shipped right by the Army, and the winger passed back inside for Glynn to score just inside the right hand side of the pitch as the Army are looking at it. This kick was missed, unfortunately, but the Army were next to score as Alicia Watson found her way in for the left side channel, 10 metres in from the left hand touchline. Etok, unfortunately, Etok this time did kick to make the scores 14 points to 6. Etok herself scored her first try of the game, and she missed her unfortunately a conversion after a well played and good run into the right corner for her try. Betfred got themselves back on the scoreboard on the 32nd minute. A great effort from Bunting on the left hand side was held up over the line. The ball was gone back for the completion of the set from the 10-metre line on the left hand corner. And the Tigers shipped the ball right to Coley, who with a great arcing run with pressure from the Army defenders passed it on to Paul, who scored in the wing in the right corner for the Bedford team. The kick was unfortunately missed again. The Army, after the kick-off, received the ball from Bedford losing the ball, which led to a penalty for 10 metres out for a strip from the Bedford team. The ball was tapped quickly by the hooker and passed to Carr, who powered her way over under the sticks, which Etok gleefully kicked to make it 3 out of 5 for the afternoon so far. Etok then got on the scoreboard again for a second try of the game, and it was a great effort from Carr that led up to this try. She went to power in on the left hand side, but some good Bedford defending kept her out. The ball was shipped back to the right, and just right to the sticks. Etok received the ball with her left hand, stepped off her right foot, and went in just right to the posts. On a stroke at half time, she converted her own try to make her personal points tally 20 for the half. So with the scores at half time 32 points to 8, it was the Army that were the first to put their own mark in the game and push on, as the ball was slipped out to the left short side by the Army inside the Tigers 20 for Alicia Watson to score her second. Etok converted this try to make it 38-8. Etok almost went over for the Army again herself and was held up. The ball was shipped left for a couple of plays for Emily White with a try under the posts, which Etok gleefully converted also. Grace Stainbridge with a wow of a try for the Army. Collecting a bouncing bomb on the Army's own 10, she powered up the right touchline without any further attempts at tackling after Bunting misses her tackle, running the length of the field to score 10 metres in from the touchline. Etok again converts this to push the scores out to 50 points to 8. Recent Ireland call-up to the train-on squad, Stormy Cobain for the Bedford Tigers intercepts a pass on their own 20 metres, which was due from the Army, and sets up the attack. The Army chasers caught her on their own 25, but the ball was shipped out to the right to Coley again, who still had a lot to do, but uses a pace to score 10 metres in from the right touch. Unfortunately, the kick was missed by the Bedford kicker this time. Bedford on the attack again as Stormy Cobain broke the line once more in the Army's 20, with Alcorn held up over the line. The set unfortunately came to nothing as the kick bounced into the Army's arms, but on the second tackle for the Army, they coughed up the ball for Cobain to receive a pass from the person who mops up the ball to score a try under the sticks. A kick by Stanton was converted for the scores to be 50 points to 18 in the Army's favour, but it showed the heart of these Bedford girls. Dainton then went in for a second. Army gets to within 10 of the Bedford line as they work left, and despite a huge hit on the Army passer to set up Dainton by Drummond, Dainton scored just left of the posts. Kicking was taken over by Welsh international Jess McCauley, who in turn kicked her own kick. kicked the conversion herself. Glynn was scored again for the Army. Tigers were forced out on the Army's 40 when they had the ball in hands. And after the first play, a big hit from the Betfred defenders, who showed up throughout the entire game, the forwards for the Army. But it was a little bit of tiredness coming in as Kaya Glynn received the ball 55 metres out from the Betfred line, outstripped the defenders, and one-on-one with the fullback decided to do a Samoan sidestep on the fullback goalie. But it was enough to put her over the line for another try for the Army. Macaulay again with the conversion. Straight from the kickoff, the Army were in again as the ball is recovered by Dainton on the Army's 30, who puts on a couple of side steps on a couple of Betfred players, grabbing for air, and then she saw a gap and just outstripped the rest of the Betfred team to score possibly the second or third best try of the Army's afternoon. Macaulay was happy to kick over another 2 to take her scoring to 6 for the day. And that's how the scores ended. 68 points to 18 for the Army. It was great to hear, even though this scoreline came in, that Betfred still wanted to keep going until the full-time whistle. Yes, there was only a couple of minutes left and it was mostly in jest, but they were still trying to get themselves revved up, even if it weren't going to come to anything other than a bit of morale boosting. I do have to say the score does not reflect the effort that both teams put in. The Army are a quality outfit, and it does say to me that they are the best team in the league because they welcome back quite a few players and looked a class outfit. There are a few players in the Bedford's team. Drummond for one, Alcorn, Thompson all showed up, and even the fullback Coley. Yeah, it was a great effort. Do hope that they continue with this because the Army girls, the Betfred girls did alright, did really good. Do have to make a correction, as on their website, Betfred Tigers say the two tries were for Caroline Coley. There was one for Stormy Corbain, and also Lauren Poole scored the other try for the Betfred team, with Lil Stanton scoring one. I want to thank the Army for keep producing these games for us to view, as they use their own Twitch channel to do so. I hope some other teams down in the I know it's financially it's not viable at this point, but they could get some. Hopefully they can show a few more games for this conference so that we can see who and what's going on and how teams are going. Is it Army versus Cardiff for the South's inaugural championship? We'll find out. So that's it for another video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share the video worldwide. Remember, it's just for fun. I know I'll get that finger right eventually, but please leave your answers in the comments below. If you have any comments on the format or anything that you would like to hear about, I'll do my best, as long as you comment in, place comments in the comments below. But in the meantime, stay safe, all the best, and I'll catch you in the next video.